evening, everyone, and welcome to another very special edition of the Whole 115 Yards Women's Football Podcast. Tonight we are talking all things Nottingham Forest Women with a very special guest. Joining me this evening is the lovely Holly from the Forest Women Fancast. Holly, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. How are you? How you doing?
Yeah, really, really good, thank you. I was just saying before we came on, trying to get everything together and really wanted to have this special moment for Forest because it's such a special club and more people need to be talking about it. So hopefully after this episode, we'll get the word out and make sure everyone has all eyes on Forest indeed. But yeah, just wanted to start really with a little bit about yourself. So tell me kind of how you got involved in football. Was it from a very young age? And has it always been Forest?
Yeah, I think literally came out the womb loving football. I think pretty much, much to
Yeah.
my mother's disgust. She tried to make me do ballet, which I absolutely hated. I mean, I did try and do it for
Yeah.
a little bit, but thankfully that didn't last. Forest all my life, although strangely, my dad was a West Ham fan. My mum's dad was a Grimsby Town season ticket holder, so didn't really follow the family line, but we grew up in I grew up in a small village in Nottinghamshire, and they were kind of the biggest club at the time. And yeah, just went from there really, went to my first game and got hooked. And yeah, in terms of being a women's football fan, I mean, I used to play football as a kid. I was always interested in women's football. But I didn't really have, and when I was growing up, I didn't really have any female players to look up to. In the latter stages, sort of Kelly Smith and players like that. But I think for me, my first WSL game was in 2012,
Oh, wow,
obviously
okay.
against Arsenal, and I think it was in somewhere like Woking or somewhere like that. But I remember there was Alex Scott was playing. It's Estonia, I think. I think Marie Hurahan, is she still the manager of Stoke? I can't quite remember, but she was in goal for Chelsea,
Off the top
so
of my head.
that's how long ago it was. But my real fire ignited, shall we say, in the 2015 World Cup. That's when I just totally fell in love with women's football after that. And in terms of Forest Women, I mean, 2017 was my first game. We
Okay, yeah.
played Millwall away from home. Now, I live in London, so that was kind of like a local game to me. And I've always struggled with being able to get up to games because being in tier 3, we'd always play in like remote places that you've probably never heard of, like Eastwood and Long Eaton in the far out reaches of little Nottinghamshire villages, basically. So getting there from London was always an absolute nightmare. So I'd always try and go as much as I could, but it's only really been sort of the last couple of seasons that I've really been able to get up there on a regular basis. With playing at the City Ground makes it so much easier. I also, few years back, well, good few years back now, I was a match day volunteer for Watford when they
Okay.
were in. It was called the WSL2 then, and I used to have to do a multitude of things, including cooking the players' post-match meals as well,
Yeah.
which was really, honestly, you haven't got a podcast long enough to go into all the stories with that one. But it's interesting to see how far we've come from those kind of days to now, where, and especially with Forest, because you know there was a point in time where they needed to raise 20 grand to literally survive, and they had buckets outside the men's stadium literally collecting pennies so that they could stay afloat. And to think that we've gone from there to where we are now is amazing, really. But yeah, no, women's football, I'll be honest with you, it's kind of, I've always been a massive fan of Forest men. Obviously, I've got a season ticket. Delighted with the way things have gone recently, obviously, because we've had some absolute dire football to look at, to watch. But women's football has taken my heart now, and I say I definitely, hand on heart, enjoy it a lot more than watching men's now, which might sound a little bit controversial to my friends watching this. I've actually admitted it, but I generally do. I just find a connection and there's just something in it that's just it's hard to describe, isn't it? It
It's
just
just
feels
such a different feeling with the women's game, isn't there?
yeah. There's a
Compared
connection and there's a real
Yes.
sort of a real rawness to it in a way. It kind of reminds me of how football used to be when I was growing up watching it before, like the Premier League just became this incredibly ridiculous monster, and it's kind of brought football back to how we used to enjoy football. And we still have that connection with the players as well at Forest, which I really love as well. So, you know, we can still chat to them after the games. Well, I don't that often because I get really embarrassed. Yeah, so that's kind of sort of a little story of my football journey, if you like.
No, I love it. And a lot of people who I've kind of met over the years and that kind of thing, they'll grow up supporting the men's team because that's a thing to do. And, the women's team, if this, before social media was as big as it is, it was so hard to find your local club or to find out what was going on. And transport links, like you said,
Yeah.
only if you had a car or you knew ages in advance how to get there. So now to have it so accessible, it's one thing to recognize how brilliant it is, but actually there's so many people who don't know the kind of struggles essentially. For us who kind of grew up with having to really seek it out,
Mm.
it's, we need to keep talking about it, don't we?
Yeah,
To really see how
absolutely.
far it's come.
Yeah. I mean, look at it now. I mean, when we won it again in the summer, it was just like you knew it was going to go up even further. Just it's insane, and just you know, even the other day, right? And this sounds really strange, but my local pub around the corner, I'd gone to meet some friends there, and not for the life of me did I think they'd have the women's football on, but when I was in there, they had it on without being asked. They had Arsenal against West Ham. And there was just blokes just having their pint, watching it, and there wasn't anybody, slagging it off, and they were genuinely watching it and being interested. And that was just like, oh, I don't know, it just fills your heart.
Yeah,
It's such a small
finally.
thing, but it fills your heart with joy, doesn't it? That we've got to that point where, it's just accepted, and it's just wonderful.
Yeah, it's just a football game.
Yeah,
And you can
exactly.
enjoy it, and it doesn't matter if it's the
Yeah.
men's or the women's, absolutely. And, talking about how everything has changed over the last couple of seasons, Forest have had it hasn't been that much of a roller coaster in terms of league positions, but in terms of emotion, the last couple of seasons have been so up and down. So for people who may not be aware, so if we look at the 21-22 season, because of course we had COVID and things before that,
Yeah.
didn't we? Which still feels like a dirty word, doesn't it? COVID.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So that was 5th place in the 21-22 season. And then the 22-23 season, when they should have gone up, and I remember that playoff match, because of course at the time it was Northern Premier and Southern Premier, the playoff for the one spot, wasn't it?
It was.
So you win the league, you've put all of that work in, and then you get pipped at the final post. And as a fan, of course, how glad are you that that's a thing of the past now, that playoff match?
Oh,
That one's
so glad. I mean, honestly, Freya, I just held on to that emotion. Absolutely gutting. As you say, we've done all the hard work.
Mm.
Andy Cook did an absolute sterling job that season. As you say, won us the league, won us the World Cup. He won us the League Cup. And yeah, and then funnily enough, we'd played Watford in the League Cup, and then we had to go and play them in Milton Keynes of all places. And sorry, I have an affiliation with Milton Keynes. Nothing wrong with Milton Keynes. But it just, it didn't really feel like much of an event. But yeah, we had to play them again, and it was one of those games that just went horribly wrong. We never looked like scoring. There was a great support that afternoon as well for both teams, to be fair. Lots of expectation, and it just felt really unjust that we'd worked so hard that season and we won everything. We just had to get over that hurdle, and it just wasn't to be. And it was like, right, back to the drawing board kind of thing. Yeah, really, really frustrating. It was difficult to get over that one, really. I mean, yeah. What came the season after was obviously was great in terms of the news of going semi-professional and the full-time, all the plans that I had in the future and what actually eventually ended up happening. But yeah, that moment in time, it was really hard to take.
Yeah, because you just think, we've put all this work in, we've done the right thing, we've won the league.
Yeah,
Where's the reward for that?
yeah.
So yeah, over the moon, that is no longer a thing, and that both North and Southern Premier divisions do get a place in the WSL2. And again, going back to the WSL2, it's like I've just got used to calling it the Championship, and now we're back. Now we're back at the WSL2.
I know.
So the season after then, so 3rd in the 23-24 season, behind Burnley and Newcastle, who of course ultimately won that season. So again, it was getting tighter, wasn't it? That
Mm.
race for the top. And then finally, last season, promoted the 24-25 season, pushed again by Wolves and Stoke this time all the way. So how did it feel towards the end of that season? I know it was still tight at the end, But when do you remember having that moment of, actually, this is it. We've got this.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm always an eternal pessimist when it comes to football as well. I'm very emotionally led. So if anything even goes slightly astray, I just capitulate and just go, oh, you know. But I think we played Burnley away and we pretty much played them off the park. We played some beautiful football and we beat them. Do you know what? I can't remember what the score was. I think it might have been 2-1, but we beat them and beat them well. We played really well. And I thought, do you know what? I think we're all right here. That was such a crunch game because it was Wolves, Burnley, Stoke as well pressing. So got that one in the bag. And then we had a 3-game week where we played, I think it was Liverpool Feds at home. We had Rugby Borough midweek and then we had Wolves at the end of it. And that was going into those 3 games, it was really, really tough because it was just relentless. You know, I imagine the concentration levels they would have had to just, you know, take one game at a time, but just concentrate and get it over the line. And we came out of that one unscathed. And then it was like, okay, it's fairly plain sailing from here. We did have a little wobble. I think was it the penultimate game against Hull at home where we drew?
Is
Another
that one?
game.
Yeah.
Oh, did you? Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't there actually, but I can't remember where I was. I think I might have been working, but by all accounts, it sounded like not particularly great defensive display by ourselves, and I think they had a set piece and scored from I think it was a free kick or a corner, I
That sounds
think.
right.
Um,
Yeah.
so we made it a little bit wobbly, but it was always still in our own hands. And then final game against West Brom at home, slightly disappointing because we'd hoped that there'd be like we'd smash our attendance record that day because obviously, you know, a finale at home, but it did clash with the men being at Wembley for the first time in 30 years or whatever it was.
Those
Fortunately.
damn men getting in the way.
Oh, I know. It was just so annoying. I mean, there was still a really good crowd. Again, we made it slightly wobbly by going 1-0 down, but then we ended up, you know, beating them 7-1 and you know, the job was done. I'd like to say it was never really in doubt, but there was, you know, you always, as a football fan, you always have little kind of moments where you think, oh, and I was just say, Wolves, they pushed us all the way. I mean, hats off to them. They did really, really well that season. So, yeah, the relief when we finally got it over the line, and that was a beautiful day. The sun was shining, and it was, yeah, magical day really that we'd finally done it after all that time.
Yeah, and to just have that moment. And I will say the City Ground has the best approach if you're coming over the river and you're coming over the bridge and you just see the stadium on the side and you're like, and especially when it's a sunny day, obviously
Yeah,
in the rain, bit different, but it was just, yeah, it seemed like everything had kind of aligned, didn't it? That end of the season. And of course, winning the cup as well. And you
yeah.
just think, you know, this team have got something incredibly, incredibly special. What would you, if you had to sum it up, what is it about the team and maybe even the club that makes it so special as a fan, if you kind of had to sum it up?
It's a really good question because I think we're such a historic, traditional football club, very much based in community. We always go on and on about the 2 European Cups that we've won, but I do think that makes us very special in the kind of the allure of the history of like Brian Clough and that kind of thing. It's, as you say, it's love that you mentioned that walk over Trent Bridge because people do say they love that. And I mean, I still get goosebumps now walking over Trent Bridge
Yeah.
and then just knowing, you know, the anticipation of match day and the fact that they've got all the women's games at the City Ground now. So you
Yes.
experience that for the women as much as you do with the men. And I think that makes things very special. And people just like the city and, you know, people like coming for away days there. It's like, our first game against Newcastle, that was the Geordies were absolutely out in force. So you were there, weren't you? I think you said you were at that
Yes, I
game. Yeah,
was. Yeah, I was
yeah,
impressed with that one. Yeah.
yeah. They were in full voice, and they all said, "Yeah, I love it as an away day. It's a really nice city to come to. It's got a really nice feel to it." So, yeah, I just think we were always just missing that piece of having a successful women's team. Really, the men got into the Premier League and were really doing well, and it kind of felt, you know, I hope it's not too bad to say this, but slightly an embarrassment that our women's team was just so far down the football pyramid compared to the men, and there just wasn't this kind of buzz around them that there was with the men, especially for people like me, you know, that, you know, big women's football fans, and to be able to have your women's club to be successful, which hopefully we will go on to even further success.
Yeah, and that's the thing, isn't it? Because if you know, you support your club and you support that as an entirety, whether
Mm.
it is the men's, women's, the youth, you know, all of those stages, you want them to do really well. So yeah, there's been we see clubs up and down the country, don't we, that don't give that parity to their men's and women's team and that attention. And, unfortunately, some, women's teams have gone under, they've, disbanded, and it just, you see the negative side of it. So to have a story like Forest, because initially they were Nottingham Ladies,
Yeah.
and then they were independent, weren't they? And then they came under the
Yeah.
club. But even that, in terms of history, wasn't that long ago, was it?
No, it wasn't.
So the fact that they have managed to do what they've done in 10-ish years
Yeah, pretty much.
is still pretty, pretty impressive. So it shows that commitment, doesn't it? Did you see a difference when Carly Davies came on board,
Yeah.
the manager?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, me personally, I absolutely loved Andy Cook. I love what he did for the club, and was really well, we were collectively as a fan base, we were all really upset when he left. We didn't quite understand why he left. Anyway, Carly came on board. She was, a relative unknown. Obviously, she'd been assistant at West Brom, I believe, and she'd done bits and pieces for the FA. Obviously, been at Villa for most of her, well, and pretty much her entire career. It's where she got her coaching badges. So she was an unknown, but it was kind of like a clean slate, and it was a female manager, and it was like, okay, this is going to be interesting. Let's see what what this person brings. Yeah, and do you know what? She has a drive. She has a work ethic and an attention to detail. You can just feel it in her. It's just something different. She's just so focused and so driven, and so determined to do well with this team. And yeah, she's been a breath of fresh air. The style of football that she's played. She's wanted to play, a really progressive, front-footed, easy on the eye kind of football. And obviously buying in the players to do that. I think she's done that really, really well with the help of our head of women's football. Sorry, Amber. Yeah, we love her. We absolutely love Carly. She's very honest, and just a thoroughly nice person as well. So yeah, we're delighted that we've got her. And as I say, I love the fact that we've got a female manager as well, because as far as I'm concerned, there isn't enough in women's football.
No, there's not. You're absolutely right. And
I hope that's not
we
too controversial to say, but I don't know.
No, not at all. And I think, especially in the women's game, there's just something, there's nothing against male managers whatsoever. There
Yeah,
are very good male managers, but we need more female managers in the women's game because they can connect on a different level than men
exactly.
can. And that's just true.
Yeah. Well, quite. Yeah,
And, you've still got some male managers who unfortunately see it as a stepping stone and they're not in it for the right
yeah,
reasons. And, regardless of gender, you just want the right person, don't you, in the role?
absolutely. Oh,
With the right values and things like that. So, but even better that Carly can have that connection. Because at Villa, when Carla Ward came in, just again the players looked so happy and content, and there was that communication was there, and you just felt that's something you don't get all the time, and that's special. So kind of keep onto those managers where you can, absolutely. And talking about over the summer, this transfer window, before we get into the current season. Now, of course, when clubs move up tiers, you expect some players, the squad to be reshaped and that kind of thing. But there were a lot of players that left this summer, 13, I believe. And you look at the list and you can kind of understand some, and I know some have retired and that kind of thing. Were there any shocks, Holly, for you that you weren't expecting?
yeah. I mean, it did feel like a massive, great clear out. 1 minute we're gone up, and the next everybody had gone, kind of thing. But I guess that's football, and that's what happens. And it's kind of what happened to Newcastle when they went up. A similar kind of situation.
Yeah, they got rid of everyone.
Yeah, they did, didn't they? Obviously bought well, and look at them now. But yeah, we were all quite shocked actually to see Kate Longhurst go. We all thought that she could do a job in the Championship. Maybe not start games, but I just think she has that leadership, that experience, and she was such an integral part of our what we all call our invincible season last season. And yeah, we thought maybe even if she didn't play, maybe she could have had some kind of player coach role kind of situation. So we were quite shocked by her. Someone of that, like I say, with that level of experience, just to kind of nurture, the younger girls as well. It just felt like a bit of an opportunity lost, really. And there's a player called Sophie Domingo who absolutely
Yes.
electric winger. I don't know whether you ever saw her play, but we were really shocked that she left as well. We thought that she could have at least been given a chance in the Championship. I mean, her assistant and goal stats were incredible in tier 3. So yeah, really sad to see her go. I mean, most of them, to be honest, I do think could probably have done a decent job. See, I still want to say I still want to say championship, WSL2, obviously.
Yeah.
Still getting used to that, as you say. But considering the caliber that we've signed since then, it kind of feels like, okay, hindsight, it kind of makes sense with the players that we let go.
Yeah, because it's all the emotion that comes with it, doesn't it? And
Oh, yeah.
when you've got a squad who've helped you get to where you are,
Yeah.
it feels wrong almost that they're now not with you. But again, on the business aspect, you can go, okay, we're going to replace and try and get that quality. Yeah, you're right. There's a couple of players on that list. Sophie Domingo did stand out, and you just think even if they're there to kind of boost the squad. I know in terms of numbers, maybe with all the signings that came in, and we will talk about those. You just think, yeah, give them the opportunity to show what they can do
Yeah.
in the championship. And if not, that's okay. There's January. That could happen there. But yeah, it's always a shame when so many leave. And like you said, like Kate Longhurst, those with that experience, because her knowledge and kind of that guidance and that grounding would have been, really beneficial, wouldn't it? Because, the names that remained, of course, but the names that have been brought in, a lot of youth players that have been brought in as well. So it'd be nice to have that mix if
Yeah.
Kate did stay.
Absolutely.
But yeah, we're talking about transfers in. I mean, there's 10 permanent signings with a further 5 on loan. Now, that's an incredible window. Were there any names that popped up that you went, hello?
Well, it kind of felt like we literally, well, I won't say the word robbed, that's probably not the right word, but the amount of ex-London Lion City, the City Lionesses players that we got with Shani Boy Halorka, Georgia Broome, we got Sophia Poor on loan. So that was quite interesting. I mean, for me, I love the young players that we brought in. I really like someone like Amy Claypole, for instance. It was obvious that she must have been a target. She must have been someone that Carly wanted a long time ago, because she literally signed a contract. So she came through, for those who don't know, she came through the academy at Chelsea. So she's been through the school of Emma Hayes, which obviously, you've got to be a decent player if you've done that.
Yeah.
And got her seal of approval. Yeah, so she signed a new contract, I think, in June with Chelsea. I think it was a 2-year contract. And then she's come to Forest in literally, 2 months later. So that's really exciting. Apparently, she absolutely smashed it last year at Durham. So I didn't really see her, to be honest with you. But I've heard from their fans that, yeah, she absolutely smashed it. And so she's like a really exciting prospect. And Vivian Leah from Arsenal as well, another
Yes.
young prospect. I'm really excited by her. Again, I think she actually started for Arsenal in some of the cup games, I believe. So, she's someone that's had that experience as well, even though she's such a young age. Deanne Rose, a Canadian international.
Yeah.
My word.
Incredible. I was going to say, when we talk about the opening game, we're going to have a whole segment on Deanne Rose. Like she's incredible. Yeah. And yeah, like when you look at all of them, like you said, a lot of London City Lionesses players that are very good championship players that shouldn't have been let go. But hey, Forest have won there. So
well, exactly. Yeah. I'm not going to complain.
It's to Forest's benefit. Yeah, but Shani Boy Halorka, because again, from Villa days, I kind of saw that. And then when she went to London City and was so integral in that promotion, and you just think, if she could do it again this year, I know the odds, but if she could do it and then stay in the squad and like be given her flowers would be insane. But yeah, even people like Kirsty Smith,
yes,
brought
of course,
in, some great experience from West Ham there. And I will say Jessie Stapleton, who's coming on loan from West Ham, she was at Sunderland last season and she was incredible, and they really wanted to get her back again this season. So yeah, so those youngsters there are incredible. Sophia Pua as well. Villa should never have let her go. So London City then loaning her. Again, Forest gain there. She's an incredible young goalkeeper. And even Izzy Hobson, I don't think she gets a lot of attention, but from Everton, I remember I was at Walton Hall Park and it was Everton Arsenal, and she scored the equaliser in like the final moments, and you're like, these are like the rough diamonds, if you like, that clearly Carly and the club have seen and gone, right, all of these players are gonna come in
Yeah.
and do a job. So yeah, I was because for the whole 115 yards, I was doing a transfer tracker this summer. So any new contract, renewal, ins, outs, everything, managers, all sorts. I was keeping a track of them. Notifications from Forest were insane. It was hard to keep up with them.
That deadline day, it was absolutely mental.
Oh, it was horrendous. I had my phone up with the notifications on, then I had my laptop, and then I had something else on. I was like, have I missed anything? Going through everyone's pages. From a fan perspective, seeing your club put, because that's a good chunk of money that's been spent there. Especially like you said with Amy Claypool having that contract renewal, and then clearly they've bought her out of it. Yeah, how does that feel that the club have really gone, yeah, we're making a go of this. We're not just going to, try. We're going to really go to solidify ourselves.
Our little Forest, So we were saying as fans, as they were that night, I still feel quite emotional thinking about it now because I was just sat on the sofa and Ollie, who I do the podcast with, my good friend Ollie, and he was just like, have you seen? There's another one. There's another one. We literally couldn't keep up. And these names that were coming through, I mean, it was just unbelievable. I mean, I knew that we were going to do good business. You don't get rid of half your squad, and bring in, rubbish players, basically. We knew that we were going to really invest this season and, at least make a good go of it to kind of consolidate and make sure we stay in WSL2. But seeing these names and the levels and the experience of these players, you just think, maybe we're actually going to try and go for it this season. Maybe we want double promotion, and it was just so exciting. Couldn't quite believe it, to be honest, because I think at the start of the window, we were starting, I mean, we're always impatient, aren't we, as football fans, let's face it, but we were a bit like, oh, we've not signed anyone and we're not hearing any news. And there's lots of stuff like, are we going to play at the City Ground? And are we going to have players like Charlie Wellings, who did so well for us last season? Is she going to sign again? And Mel Johnson and players like this. We were all tentatively and patiently kind of waiting for news. And then literally at the end, it was just like,
Everything all at once.
yeah. And it was just, I can't take this in. This is actually happening. It's like when the men went up, not to keep bringing the men up, but when we went up and we signed, obviously it didn't work out, but Jessie Lingard and players, I was like, we're being linked to players like this,
Yeah.
With the women, it had that same kind of feeling like, okay, we mean business now. This is really happening. We're arriving, It's just, it was an emotional moment because you've seen your team, just no disrespect. And I did love that league, but it's so different. It just feels so different now. That first game, I know we'll come onto it, but that first game at the City Ground, our first game in the WSL2, it's just the whole day, the whole atmosphere, everything about it was just grander and more professional. And just like I say, we'd arrived, and it felt like that when these signings were coming through. And yeah, as I say, it was emotional. But I get really emotional with football anyway. I'll cry at anything to do with football. So yeah, I'm just like average day for me.
It's the emotion, and honestly, being there, it's really hard when I'm trying to be kind of impartial in the press box, because if there's a really good goal, you're like, no, I can't. No, right, okay.
Yeah, I can imagine.
It's there's so much in it, and when you kind of get swept up in the fans as well, and we mentioned the noise and the attendance. I mean, the attendance was 1,800 and something, can't quite remember now. But I remember thinking that's more than a lot of WSL games. So the fans are incredible. Like we mentioned, Newcastle, they always bring a really good travelling army with them as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the names that were being brought in, I remember seeing Rachel Rowe as well. And I thought, after her Euros, that was, maybe that was in the works before that. But what a signing again from Southampton. And you think, the club attracting names like that, then other people are going to go, okay, well, what's happening at Forest?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
they're going to have that link as well. So yeah, I was incredibly excited when all of this was coming out. So before we move on, now Hikari Garcia, only on a short-term loan till January. I really hope she stays. I know she probably won't, because that's when her season starts in January.
Yeah.
But I mean, she's been, such an impact already, hasn't she?
Yeah.
In this.
Definitely.
Do you like to see her stay a little bit longer?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially, it was on Sunday, she wasn't even in the starting 11, and then she came on as a late substitute for Freya Thomas, and she just strolled on, did her thing. She's just, you can tell she's just got that kind of Spanish flair to her. The way she just holds herself and holds the ball, she's just so graceful and just so, she's just, you can tell she's a complete cut above what we've had before. No disrespect to anybody else, but you can just, she's got a very different football brain, if you like. Took her goal beautifully at the weekend as well. And I'd love her to stay. I would really love her to stay.
Perfect.
But as you say, she's with Denver, isn't she? And the likelihood is she'll probably go back. But
Yes.
fingers crossed.
And I saw Denver, it popped up on my feed saying, all of Denver's lawnees are doing so well in their lawn teams. And I'm like, hey, can you just make it permanent? Like,
yeah, exactly.
yes. Anyone from Denver Summit is watching. If Garcia can just stay for a little bit longer, that'll be perfect.
Yeah.
But it's rare to have, I say rare, well, it kind of is, to have someone, come from such a different league to come in and just hit the ground running, isn't it?
Yeah.
Lots of players need half a season to really cement themselves in, because the WSL and WSL2 are so different. So yeah, when you get those players that can just, it's like, I want to keep you.
It's gold dust, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you want to keep them. So we've teased it long enough. Let's have a look at the season. So only 2 games in, but what are 2 games they've been? So opening day, we need a moment for this because Newcastle were the first test. Newcastle, who are not shy about wanting those promotion spots and wanting to get up into the WSL. And the thing that really stood out, because obviously you're watching from an outsider's perspective for me, but you're watching all these names come in and you think, how are they going to do? And unfortunately, you've got London City Lionesses who've brought in so many players, but then it's, well, how are they going to gel together? Is it going to work out? Is it not? It's a huge risk. But the thing that stood out for me was that Forest didn't look out of place at all in this league. And I think that's always a little worry, isn't it, when you first get promoted? But for you, from your perspective, what was it like not only having the first game of the season at home, how important was that, but really to come away with the 2-1 against Newcastle? How did the game go for you? Was it what you thought?
Yeah. It was always going to be a very difficult game. And we were hoping that it wasn't going to be some horrendous, baptism of fire. As you say, I agree. I think we held our own. I thought we had the majority of the possession. I think conceding so early did give us a bit of a kick in the guts to begin with, I think. I think it was 7 minutes in, wasn't it? Very early goal. But, heads didn't drop and we still looked like a unit, although from a fan's perspective, you're essentially looking at a whole new team. You're kind of looking at a load of strangers together, really. And you're kind of thinking, well, how does that kind of transpire onto the pitch? And, are they ready? I mean, will they have those connections? Will they, because I think one of the things that we had last year, we had such a harmonious team. They were all quite evidently really good friends on and off the pitch. They just gelled beautifully. And we were really, really worried that we wouldn't be able to recreate that. But I think it's testament to the recruitment of Amber and Carly that they've got the right individuals in again. It's not like, we could have gone out and perhaps we could have signed some bigger names. I don't know, like players maybe at the end of their careers that have played in the WSL. But I think we brought the right individuals in. This is a project that's been going for as soon as Carly came in, really, and Amber. So it's kind of like a 20-month project. So it's not just something that's been thrown together, just like that up in the air. It's something that's been meticulously planned. And I think that's what was evident on that first game, that we didn't want to just turn up and be complete outsiders. We competed, and it's great that you could see that as an outsider, that we did compete with them. I think we were very unlucky. I think we deserved a draw. But you know what? There was so much to be positive about, And obviously we took it into Sunday. And I mean, the day as a whole was just wonderful. It was just such a great atmosphere. Everything felt different. Even like just silly little things like having an electric, fourth official with an electric scoreboard telling you how many more minutes were added on in injury time. And just like the WSL2 branding around the hoardings and, the WSL2 podium and ball and just the media and the sponsors' presence and all that kind of stuff. It really felt grand and just completely different, like a whole different ball game, really. So it was a wonderful day.
And you just feel like this is where we should be. This is us. Like this is absolutely it. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Even from the off, like the buzz from because I got there early-ish when the doors were open as a theatre. But so many people were queuing outside, and you just
Yeah.
think, this is it. This is the buzz. And, I think with the club shop being right outside the entrance as well, I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic placement from them. And just the whole thing, it's just a really lovely kind of stadium where there's like a nice floor going into it, isn't there? And
Yeah.
it's kind of everyone's just kind of together in
Yeah.
that moment. So yeah, it's always such a good atmosphere. Even, and I know, like singing Mull of Kintyre, and again, the first time I experienced that, I was like, "There's so many scarves, and it's so loud." And from a lot of the WSL 2 games and 1 games I've been to, so my local team is Sunderland. I don't know if you've ever been to Eppleton.
I haven't. No.
It's a bit of a sad ground. It's a bit sad. But, the faithful turn up, there.
Yeah.
But then Villa were playing at Bescot, which was quite a small venue, but they only ever had half open, and maybe you get 600 on a good day. So yeah, so the fact that the numbers were there, and I just thought, there's something
Yeah.
special here, absolutely. But we need, we'll circle back. Deanne Rose. In that opening game, like in my notes, I had to condense it down for a word count, but I was like, I could have talked just the whole article. Most of it could have been about her. The speed, the pace is just insane. And I think coming from, I don't know how much you watched of her at Leicester last season, but it always felt like she could make a difference, and she was creating so much, but there was no one there with her at Leicester. But then moving here, I mean, that's a huge move in itself, but
Yeah.
you just felt like the team were actually with her,
Mm.
and she had that support. And I remember the one moment, and I wrote it down, that I'd put Emily Murphy and Deanne Rose continue to be constant threats in front of goal throughout the first half, with the latter running nearly the full length of the pitch to try and get the equaliser. And she did. They'd break on the counter, and she was gone. So when you saw her kind of unleash on that first game, and then again at the weekend, yeah, what do you think? What a signing!
I mean, we named our first podcast of the season after her. We were so impressed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely rapid, unbelievable. It's like we've not seen a player of that quality at the City Ground for the women's in the women's team in the entire existence. But I've never seen a player of her quality. I mean, as well as her pace and power, just the tenacity that she has in the tackle as well, just to win the ball back, and then incredible ball control as well, and awareness as well. There was one where obviously she made a lovely run on the right hand side, and then beat a player and cut in, but the ball that she played was absolutely pinpoint as well. I can't remember who maybe it might have been Freya Thomas. Just the awareness. She's just got everything, hasn't she? Got everything. She's quite a small player as well, so she's obviously got quite a low centre of gravity, so it's very hard to kind of push off the ball, which I like. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to see more of her this season and what she can do. And when she gets that first goal, I think she's going to absolutely fly. Very, very excited by the end.
Yeah, as soon as that first one goes in. And again in that first game, Deanne Rose went off and Vivian Leah came on, and you just thought that was pretty much like for like, with that power and
Yeah.
that pace, and just and that's the thing, isn't it? It's not just who's in your starting 11, but it's right, who are we bringing on?
Mm.
Who's going to be that impact? And to have a bench, as someone who's followed Villa for quite a few years now, just to have a bench is the best thing in the world.
Yeah.
To have players that are going to come on and make a difference. But yeah, so good feeling about that first game.
Yeah.
Did end 2-1, as we mentioned, but again, should have been a draw. The way they played. And I remember thinking those last 10, 15 minutes that I was like, there's a goal coming, and they're
Yeah.
going to do it. And it just didn't. But then obviously going into last weekend on Sunday, we're against Ipswich, who were fellow promotees into the league. What were you expecting ahead of this one? Because obviously that strange situation of they both come up at the same time, so maybe they should be on more of an even playing field. But yeah, how did you feel kind of pre and post? Was it what you expected? Yeah.
We were very optimistic. We thought if we were ever going to get 3 points, it should really be, considering the performance that we had the week previous with Newcastle. But they obviously lost their first game, and then they were at home and in front of their fans. So we thought it was going to be quite a difficult game. But yeah, like I say, we're very optimistic. And to be honest with you, I think if we gone, we missed a couple of chances in that, like the Deanne Rose chance where she went round the keeper and sadly just wide. But there was a couple of chances where you just think, oh, we've gone 2-0 up, and I think we kind of would have started really, really cruising then. But no, I mean, it wasn't the most scintillating game of football, but there was some really, really lovely things on show that I thought technically we were a lot better than them, to be honest, on the ball, our composure, those connections that we had are coming. But yeah, slightly tighter than I thought it would have been, to be honest, before
Mm.
the match started. But I'm obviously delighted that we got it over the line and got those 3 points on the board, because I think had we had we lost that game, that would have been 2. And I think to come back to the City Ground against a team like Palace, I think that would have been quite difficult. So yeah, it's just momentum now to kind of nice board to kind of move on with. But yeah, they did make it difficult. To be fair though, I don't think they offered to. I think we managed to nullify a lot of their threat. I don't think they really had a real honest threat on our goal, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was a great day, another great game, and yeah, really pleased that we got the 3 points in the end.
Yeah. So I have a slight confession to make. On Sunday, I went, yeah, I'll go to the cinema with my friend, completely forgetting how much football was on Sunday. Which, as someone who does a women's football podcast, is quite shocking. So I remember coming out of the cinema and just having so many notifications, because again, they're all turned on to get everything through. And I was going through, I was like, oh, what was the Forest score? And again, when I saw 1-0, I was like, really?
Yeah,
But it's 3 points.
yeah,
And it's fine, and the goal went in as it should, by Garcia, we mentioned earlier, came on in the second half, and just, found a feet in the ball, found the back of the net. But like you said, in those games as well, even, even in a 1-0, you're looking for that potential, and like you said, there was some lovely
mm,
build-up play, and there was some lovely, link-ups, and you just think, "It's only the second game, like, this is gonna really take off as the season progresses." And, if you look at Portsmouth last season, they didn't get a point until November, I wanna say.
really,
Um,
right?
yeah,
Was it
and
that?
it was everyone had wrote them off by Christmas and just said, "There's
Yeah,
no way they're coming back." They had, like, a -30 goal difference by Christmas, and you were just thinking, "That's no, it's not." But then, they come out the other side of it, and they had a really good run and finished quite safe.
yeah,
So it's such a strange one, and that's why I love the WSL too. And we call it on our Wednesday show the best league in the world, because literally anyone can win against anyone on their
yeah,
day.
yeah,
And there's no, like you say in the WSL, Chelsea play, they're probably gonna win.
yeah,
There's not that kind of jeopardy at the top end of
yeah,
the table. But yeah, in the WSL too,
yeah.
anything.
I love that. Yeah,
Literally anything can happen. And that's the best thing, isn't it? Where, you've got that excitement because it is so unpredictable. And in terms of that, that leads us on quite nicely. Look at us. So the season so far, I know it's only been a couple of days, but couple of days? No, couple of couple of games. The obviously seeing teams kind of settling in and seeing different scores and things. Are there any teams that you think are going to be big competition, or that you're really excited to face this season?
I mean, before the season started, I was really excited to face Birmingham, because they're kind of like, well, I mean, obviously they just missed out last season, didn't they? And they're kind of seasoned professionals in this league. They know it inside out. They've been here for a while. And the likes of Sunderland as well. They've done really well. And Charlton, obviously, they've won all their games, haven't they? So well, there's only been 2 games, but
Yeah, I think they're the only ones, Charlton, that have still got a perfect record.
yeah. So that's interesting. I'm a bit disappointed actually. Bristol City, actually, I would see, because I would see Bristol, Durham, and maybe Newcastle to kind of be our sort of, I'm saying at the moment, mid-table rivals.
Okay.
Not that I
Yeah.
want to particularly be mid-tables, but but yeah, I would tip probably Birmingham to win it. I can't choose between Southampton and Charlton, because Charlton tend to fall away, if I'm right. Am I right in thinking that? Or
Yes. Yeah. They're very consistency isn't their friend.
yeah,
Let's say.
diplomatic way of putting it. Yeah.
Yeah. But they've got the potential, and that's
Yes.
that's the worrying thing, isn't it? Because you can't, if we look at like last season, the top 5, there was maybe 8 points between it. And you just think that's the key thing. It's going to go down to the last day, because now we're back to 12 teams in the league. So it's not going to be where we had last season. Portsmouth didn't play on the last day. Their fate was sealed. But yeah, I mean, looking at it at the moment, so it's Charlton on 6, Southampton on 4, Birmingham 4, Sunderland 4, Newcastle 4, Durham 3, Forest 3, Bristol 3. And you're just like, that's nothing.
Yeah, I know.
And then it's just poor Portsmouth and Ipswich that haven't picked up any points. But it's only 2 games into the season. But yeah, it's going to be incredibly tight, isn't it? So, because obviously this season there's the 2 promotion spots with a possible 3rd. Now, promotion would be perfect. I mean, what a season. But what would success look like, do you think, for the club this season, apart from the promotion, if it was possible? Is there like a minimum you'd like to achieve?
I mean, I would say obviously a mid-table-ish kind of place, kind of round about where we are now, I would say. I think the club want more, and they're, I think that is the objective this season. I mean, for us fans looking at it, to just say, we stay up would be enough for us, considering where we've come from. And have a decent season, play some really nice football, get some good results, and then push on from there. Promotion would be incredible. Even just to get that playoff spot would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Don't really like playoffs myself, because Forest have never done very well. But why not? I mean,
Hey,
if you go up by the playoffs, oh my God, it's just wonderful, isn't it? If you actually do it, it's great.
I know, to have that moment. And again, because the playoff will be against the bottom WSL side as well. So
Yeah,
it's, I think a couple of teams in the WSL have gone, well, it's not automatic relegation. Let's kind of not put enough money in. So on that aspect, I'd love a WSL2 side to go, we're willing to put the money in. Let's promote us instead.
and do you know what as well? And I would absolutely love it if it ended up being Forest and Leicester, because there's a little sort of East Midlands rivalry there as well.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because I'm in Lincolnshire at the minute.
Okay.
So traveling over to Forest is quite a nice one, because
Yeah.
for ages, because I've lived here a couple of years now, I've got lots of local like tier 3, tier 4, tier 5 teams, and the nearest like big team, the biggest team in the East Midlands will be Forest, of course. So
Yeah.
it's been nice to kind of have them pretty much on my doorstep-ish,
Yeah.
to have that options. Again, now in the WSL too, it's like, oh, I can go to, lots of different type of football now with
Yeah.
all these different leagues. But yeah, against Leicester would be good. And you know what? The way they're playing at the minute, I think you'd quite happily walk that one.
Yeah, well, exactly. It's not looking particularly good for them, is it?
No, yeah, their window hasn't been great, has it? And a question mark over their manager as well. But that's
Yeah,
it
of
for the
course.
podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you mentioned it briefly before, Crystal Palace
Mm.
this weekend, back at home, back at the City Ground. How do you think this one's going to play out? I don't know if you saw the Palace Southampton game at the weekend was 4-4
Yeah.
ended, which was madness. I was watching it back like, how was this? What?
Yeah.
Complete end to end. So is that put any spanner in the works? Seeing that, or
It's making me slightly nervous, to be honest. I haven't actually watched it back. I haven't had a chance to watch it back yet. But yeah, when we were looking at the scores at full time at our game, we're like, wow, what's going on down there?
proper dingo?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. Being at home is a massive boost for us, I think. And I think did they lose their first game? I can't even remember.
We can have a look. Got the scores up. So who did they have? Palace. Yes, they did. 1-0 to Charlton.
Okay.
Charlton won 1-0. Yeah, so that was quite a tight
Yeah.
one.
Obviously they signed Van Heavenmaat as well, haven't they?
Yes, 10-foot tall Van Havermaet. Yes,
Yes.
scored with a header at the weekend, as she's there to do. Really.
Well, exactly. And I remember when we played a couple of seasons ago when Forest played Everton in the FA Cup, and seeing her play at Long Eaton, it was just bizarre. Incredible WSL players playing in Long Eaton. Anyway, yeah. So it's a tough one to call, to be honest. It's only 3 games in, and I do think we're still trying to gel. all those players. I think she'll probably pick pretty much the same team, I would imagine, which bodes well. The other thing as well, Carly's partner, Remy Allen, who you
Yes.
obviously will know from Villa, is assistant manager at Palace as well, which makes things interesting.
Yeah, she's got the assistant job, didn't she?
Yeah. So bit of a family derby there.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I would be happy with the draw, just to kind of keep getting points on the board. I think it's going to be a really tough game, to be honest. And I do sense there might be quite a few goals in it. Don't know why. I just have an inkling that, yeah, it's going to be quite a high-scoring game.
It'll be 6-6. Completely go for it. But again, that's the thing, isn't it? You can't. These games are so tough to call, and it's great to do predictions, but you can guarantee they're going to be completely wrong, and it's gonna. But
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, two very good sides coming together. So you're right. I think it's going to be close, if anything. But yeah, I mean, a draw is still very good because a point is a point in this league, and everything counts, doesn't it? So yeah, I'm excited, and that's what this league does, doesn't it? Every weekend you're like, yep, it's going to be a good weekend. And if people maybe are on the fence, if they're in the Nottinghamshire area or even a bit further abroad, why should they come to the City Ground and maybe sample a game? What would your little advert be to them to come and see Forest in action?
Well, I would say, you're going to visit an elite Premier League ground. Okay, we are, got a few, a bit rough around the edges in places, but we're a really traditional Premier League ground with a wonderful surface. We've got some incredibly exciting new players, wonderful support as well. Yeah, it's just a great ground to go to. And I think it would be, Forest would be a great team to get involved with now, because I think we are definitely on an upward trajectory. We're still very, very new in terms of, we have aspirations of having, Arsenal level support and chance and all that kind of thing. But I think we want more people to come on board, get involved, get in the movement, because I think we have a lot of potential to be huge, to be honest with you, in terms of fan engagement and excitement. And, this team will be in the WSL1 in the not too distant future. And I think it's time to get on board with that now before, we explode. I mean, I know I'm being quite optimistic there, but I genuinely believe it, because our owner is massively ambitious, and we've got fantastic manager in Carly Davis, and our general manager, head of women's football at Forest, Amber, she was actually at Villa. She was the general manager when you got promoted to the WSL1, apparently.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
So yeah, she's fantastic. So just exciting time to get on board. So yeah, come and join us. Yes,
and increase those numbers. Not that they need it, of course, because there's so incredible support already. But yeah, what a fantastic club to be a part of. And it's, again, from an outsider's perspective, you feel like you want to get involved. And that's such a lovely thing, because sometimes, going to a ground as more of a neutral, you pick up on different vibes and you pick up on the atmosphere and stuff. But yeah, going to a game at a City Ground, really, really good. Thoroughly enjoyed it. So yeah, I second that. Absolutely.
No, I love that.
Yes, and get on board the Forest train, everyone. Because yeah, I can see special things are going to be happening, and that's what you want, isn't it? You want a club who really appreciate their women's team and they want the best for them, and they're the clubs that we want to support and really big up. And that's part of the reason we wanted to do this episode, wasn't it? To really, really shout them out and talk about the special things that are going on. And talking about all of the news that Forest will bring this season, the podcast, of course, which we mentioned at the start of the show, the Forest Women Fancast. Can you tell us a little bit about it and where people can find you?
Yeah, so myself and my friend Ollie co-host the Forest Women Fancast. We started it last August, the start of last season, basically because Forest Women didn't have a podcast and we thought they deserved one. So we started one. There's 1,000,001 Forest men's podcasts, but no women's one. So we thought that, we'd jump on board and do that. It's such an exciting time as well, with the club moving into, being professional and playing the City Ground and all that kind of thing. So yep, you can find us on X, on Instagram, Forest Women Fancast, on Spotify, Apple, all the usual kind of places. Yeah, we do post-match audio pods during the week, and we've just started doing some pre-match video stuff with the opposition fans for the opposition coming at the weekend. I've had a few little technical difficulties with that, but we're trying to get as much content out as we can. So yeah, come and find us, come and have a listen, and give us a review if you like us. That is, hopefully you will.
Yes, absolutely. Everyone, straight away, get yourself over to the Forest Women Fancast and just leave all of the reviews, because as podcasts, independent podcasts as well, we do really appreciate every like, share, follow, subscribe, all of that jazz that people are used to hearing at the beginning and end of
Yeah.
the episode. And I'm going to do the same now. So if you have enjoyed this episode, please remember to, again, like, share, subscribe, follow, rate, I don't know anymore, all of the buttons for the whole 115 yards. Yeah, just press everything. Just press all of the good things, where we will bring you more interviews, more updates, as much as we possibly can, with lots of different clubs shining the spotlight across the women's football pyramid and indeed across Europe as well. Weekly articles will be available on the whole115yards.com, so do go check that out as well. And again, we're across all socials, pretty much, I think, the whole 115 yards on it. So yeah, so do go check that out. Do go check out the Forest Women Fancast. And Holly, thank you so much for joining me.
Absolute pleasure.
And hopefully see you maybe end of the season to get a nice little roundup about
Yes,
how it's gone as
definitely.
well. That'd be perfect. So yes, thank you so much everyone for watching and listening, and we'll be back very, very soon. Thank you.